Good morning. My name is Graham Irvin, and my co-authors and research partners are Felicia Holton, Maggie Jeffries, and Anna Ferguson. The title of our research paper was The Beauty of Branding, How Consumer Brand Identification Contributes to Brand Loyalty. Through the social identification theory, or identity theory, can be called both, we examine the link between how a consumer identifies with the brand's personality and how that contributes to brand loyalty among cosmetic products. Kim Honan Park, 2001, state the concept of social identification theory relates to a person's belonging to a group or organization. Hogg and Vaughn, 2002, state that social identity is derived from a person's sense of belonging to a group. It's a self-concept or individual-based relationship that a person has with a specific group. Through shopping for and purchasing products, consumers reinforce their identification with a group. The two main concepts we based our research project on, the first is the Brand Personality Index by Aker, 1997, which states brand personality is when a person associates human characteristics to a product. And Aker set out 5 dimensions of brand personality. The first is sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness. The other index we used was Jacoby and Kiner's 1973 Brand Loyalty Index, and brand loyalty can be defined as a behavioral response expressed over time by repurchasing products. Now, why cosmetics? Well, globally, cosmetics is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's a product that's used on a daily basis predominantly by females, and it's used from when women are teenagers throughout their adult life. So we thought it would be a great product to use to look at brand loyalty. We believe the results obtained from our research paper can be used both in the consumer marketplace and also in future academic social science studies. Now we'll go to Felicia with the method.
Okay, so the method that we used was an online survey. For our instrument, it was a combination of scales and indices that studied brand loyalty. Our entire survey was a 5-point Likert scale that ranged from completely agree to completely disagree. For coding purposes, a high score on our survey meant that you had a high loyalty and a high personality index. The questions that we asked gauged a respondent's preferred brand, the reasons for maintaining a relationship with that brand, the attitudes and the emotions that they have with the brand, and a measure of loyalty that each respondent had toward their brand. Our sample. Now, after 3 online waves, we got about 136 completed surveys. We had to make some deletions because males were excluded from our survey. So after the deletions, our final in size was 123 adult females. That brought our response rate to 9.4%. The dependent variable, was represented by brand identification, and that had an alpha of 0.89. And the independent variable in our study was brand loyalty, and that had an alpha of 0.79. So now I'm going to let Maggie tell you what our research questions and our results were.
Okay, great. Our respondents' mean age for this study was 25.88 years old. They were 83.3% Caucasian, 26.8% of them had some college, and 75.7% were earning less than $20,000 a year. These results weren't surprising since we did deploy our survey at this university. Respondents also used their preferred brand for an average of 6.76 years. They wear makeup for an average of 4.61 days a week, and they spend on average $23.80 per month. We did ask the respondents, out of 12 department store and drugstore brands, which ones did they purchase on a regular basis. The most popular was CoverGirl with 30.1%. Second was Clinique with 14.1%. And third, we had a tie with MAC, Mary Kay, Maybelline, and Revlon at 4.1%. We also asked them which specific brand did they purchase on a regular basis. Ranked highest was CoverGirl with 44.7%. Second was Maybelline with 36.6%, and Clinique was third with 34.1%. In this study, we did have 3 research questions. Research question 1, how does consumer brand identification relate to brand use? We did find that the more respondents identified with a particular brand, the less they actually did use the brand. Research question number 2, is there a difference in brand use by a consumer and brand loyalty? We did find that the more often they did use a brand, the less brand loyal they became. And research question number 3, is there a difference in brand loyalty based on age? Again, we did find that the longer our respondents did use a particular brand, the less brand loyal they became. So all of our results from our research questions did yield a negative correlation, and Anna is going to explain why we feel our study yielded these results.
Alright, so in our study we found there's an obvious link between the way a consumer identifies with a brand personality and the degree of loyalty she feels towards that brand, but the relationship is really likely to change over time. In research question 1, as Maggie said, we found a negative and weak correlation between brand identity and daily use, with the average user coming in at 4.61 days a week, which we took to mean a work week. And this result showed us that these respondents had less exposure to cosmetics, and they're more likely to be brand loyal because they're less comfortable exploring new brands. And we based that hypothesis off of a 2004 study of over-the-counter prescriptions, which found that limited exposure to different brands makes consumers less comfortable experimenting with new brands. Research question 2, we found a negative correlation between the number of years a consumer has used a brand and their brand loyalty to that brand. We expected to find a positive correlation there, but we hypothesized that it was different than we had expected because, again, they have more exposure over more years of use, and so then they're less brand loyal. A similar result was found in research question 3, where we had a negative correlation between loyalty and age, where the older a consumer is, the less loyal they are because, again, the longer they've used cosmetics, the more comfortable they are experimenting with new brands. So it appears that in the category of cosmetics, the more exposure to, options of, and knowledge of cosmetics that a consumer has, the less likely she is to be brand loyal. We did have a couple limitations with our survey. As Felicia talked about the response rate, males were sent the survey, but their answers were deleted, so our response rate was lower than we would have liked it to be. Also, our demographic, it was only females at a college and in a lower economic status, so if we expanded our demographic, we could have had altered responses just because it was a broader demographic. But we think this study could be helpful for academics as well as consumers, as well as advertisers and marketers to better understand the dynamics of brand loyalty and what contributes to such behavior.